Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, continuing chapter 9, Some Intimate Disciples. Page 377. The discussion came to a close. Sri Ramakrishna said to M, I have observed that a man acquires one kind of knowledge about God through reasoning and another kind through meditation. But he acquires a third kind of knowledge about God when God reveals himself to him, his devotee. If God himself reveals to his devotee the nature of divine incarnation, how he plays in human form, then the devotee does not have to reason about the problem or need an explanation. Do you know what it is like? Suppose a man is in a dark room. He goes on rubbing a match against a matchbox, and all of a sudden light comes. Likewise, if God gives us this flash of divine light, all our doubts are destroyed. Can one ever know God by mere reasoning? Sri Ramakrishna asked Narendra to sit by his side. He tenderly inquired about his health and showed him much affection. Narendra to the Master, Why, I have meditated on Kali for 3 or 4 days, but nothing has come of it. Master, all in good time, my child. Kali is none other than Brahman. That which is called Brahman is really Kali. She is the primal energy. When that energy remains inactive, I call it Brahman, and when it creates, preserves, or destroys, I call it Shakti or Kali. What you call Brahman, I call Kali. It was late at night. Girish asked Haripada to call a cab, for he had to go to the theater. Girish, that I should have to go to the theater and leave you here. Master, no, you must hold to both. Girish, I have been thinking of leaving the theater to the youngsters. Master, no, it is all right. You are doing good to many. Narendra said in a whisper, just a moment ago he, meaning Girish, was calling him, meaning Sri Ramakrishna, God, an incarnation, and now he is attracted to the theater. Narendra was sitting beside the Master. The latter looked at him intently and suddenly moved closer to his beloved disciple. Narendra did not believe in God's assuming a human body, but what did that matter? Sri Ramakrishna's heart overflowed with love for his disciple. He said to Narendra, as long as a man argues about God, he has not realized him. You two were arguing. I didn't like it. The nearer you approach God, the less you reason and argue. When you attain him, then all sounds, all reasoning and disputing come to an end. Then you go into samadhi, into communion with God in silence. The Master gently stroked Narendra's body and affectionately touched his chin, uttering sweetly the holy words, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. He was fast becoming unconscious of the outer world. His hand was on Narendra's foot. Still in that mood, he gently stroked Narendra's body. Slowly a change came over his mind. With folded hands, he said to Narendra, Sing a song, please, then I shall be all right. How else shall I be able to stand on my own feet? Then the Master completely forgot the outer world. He did not notice anyone in the room, not even his beloved Narendra seated by his side. He did not know where he himself was seated. He was totally merged in God. Suddenly he stood up, shouting, deep drunk with the wine of divine love. As he took his seat again, he muttered, I see a light coming, but I know not whence it comes. Now Narendra sang, Lord, Thou hast lifted all my sorrow with the vision of thy face, and the magic of thy beauty has bewitched my mind. Beholding thee, the 7 worlds forget their never-ending woe. What shall I say then of myself, a poor and lonely soul? Listening to the song, Sri Ramakrishna again went into deep samadhi. His eyes were closed and his body was transfixed. Coming down from the ecstatic mood, he looked around and said, "Who will take me to the temple garden?" He appeared like a child who felt confused in the absence of his companion. It was late in the evening. The night was dark. The devotees stood by the carriage that had been brought to take the master to Dakshineswar. They helped him in gently, for he was still in deep ecstasy. The carriage moved down the street, and they looked after it with wistful eyes. Soon the devotees turned homeward, a gentle south wind blowing in their faces. Some were humming the lines of the song, "Lord, thou hast lifted all my sorrow with the vision of thy face, and the magic of thy beauty has bewitched my mind." Saturday, May 9th, 1885. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sri Ramakrishna sat in Balaram's drawing room in a happy mood. Many devotees were present. Balaram was not there. He had gone to Mangur for a change of air. His eldest daughter had invited Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees and celebrated the occasion with a feast. The master was resting after the meal. Again and again the master asked M, "Am I liberal-minded? Tell me." Bhavanath, smiling, "Why do you ask him? He will only keep quiet." A devotee said, "Sir, how does one receive God's grace?" Master, God has the nature of a child. A child is sitting with gems in the skirt of his cloth. Many a person passes by him along the road. Many of them pray to him for gems, but he hides the gems with his hands and, turning away his face, "No, I will not give any away." But another man comes along. He doesn't ask for the gems, yet the child runs after him and offers him the gems, begging him to accept them. One cannot realize God without renunciation. Who will accept my words? I have been seeking a companion, a sympathetic soul who will understand my feelings. When I see a great devotee, I say to myself, perhaps he will accept my ideal. But later on, I find that he behaves in a different way. Once Mathur Babu was in an ecstatic mood. He behaved like a drunkard and could not look after his work. At this, all said, "Who will look after his estate if he behaves like that?" Certainly, the young priest, referring to Sri Ramakrishna, who was at that time a priest in the Kali temple, has cast a spell on him. During one of Narendra's early visits, I touched his chest and he became unconscious. Regaining consciousness, he wept and said, "Oh, why did you do that to me? I have a father, I have a mother. This I and my sprang from ignorance." Narendra, how can I believe without proof that God incarnates himself as a man? Girish, faith alone is sufficient. What is the proof that these objects exist here? Faith alone is the proof. A devotee, have philosophers been able to prove that the external world exists outside us? But they say we have an irresistible belief in it. Girish to Narendra, you wouldn't believe even if God appeared before you. God himself might say that he was God, born as a man, but perhaps you would say that he was a liar and a cheat. Joggin, smiling. He, meaning the master, doesn't accept Narendra's words anymore. Master, smiling. At Jadu Malik's garden house, Narendra said to me, "The forms of God that you see are the fiction of your mind." I was amazed and said to him, "But they speak too." Narendra answered, "Yes, you may think so." I went to the temple and wept before the mother. "O mother," I said, "what is this? Then is this all false? How could Narendra say that?" Instantly, I had a revelation. I saw consciousness, indivisible consciousness, and a divine being formed of that consciousness. The divine form said to me, "If your words are untrue, how is it that they tally with the facts?" Thereupon I said to Narendra, "You rogue, you created unbelief in my mind. Don't come here anymore." The discussion continued. Narendra was arguing. He was then slightly over 22 years of age. Narendra to Girish M. and the others. How am I to believe in the words of Scripture? The Mahanirvana Tantra says, in one place, that unless a man attains the knowledge of Brahman, he goes to hell. And the same book says, in another place, that there is no salvation without the worship of Parvati, the Divine Mother. Manu writes about himself in the Manu Samhita. Moses describes his own death in the Pentateuch. The Samkhya philosophy says that God does not exist because there is no proof of his existence. Again, the same philosophy says that one must accept the Vedas and that they are eternal. But I don't say that these are not true. I simply don't understand them. Please explain them to me. People have explained the scriptures according to their fancy. Which explanation shall we accept? White light coming through a red medium appears red, through a green medium, green. A devotee. The Gita contains the words of God. Master, yes, the Gita is the essence of the scriptures. A sannyasi may or may not keep with him another book, but he always carries a pocket Gita. A devotee. The Gita contains the words of Krishna. Narendra. Yes, Krishna, or any fellow for that matter. Sri Ramakrishna was amazed at these words of Narendra. Master, this is a fine discussion. There are two interpretations of the scriptures, the literal and the real. One should accept the real meaning alone, what agrees with the words of God. There is a vast difference between the words written in a letter and the direct words of its writer. The scriptures are like the words of the letter. The words of God are direct words. I do not accept anything unless it agrees with the direct words of the Divine Mother. The conversation again turned to divine incarnation. Narendra. It is enough to have faith in God. I don't care about what he is doing or what he hangs from. Infinity is the universe. Infinite are the incarnations. As Sri Ramakrishna heard the words, "Infinite is the universe, infinite are the incarnations," he said with folded hands, "Ah." M whispered something to Bhavanath. Bhavanath. M says, "As long as I have not seen the elephant, how can I know whether it can pass through the eye of a needle? I do not know God. How can I understand through reason whether or not he can incarnate himself as man?" Master. Everything is possible for God. It is he who casts the spell. The magician swallows the knife and takes it out again. He swallows stones and bricks. A devotee. The Brahmos say that a man should perform his worldly duties. He must not renounce them. Girish. Yes, I saw something like that in one of their newspapers. But a man cannot even finish all the works that are necessary for him in order to know God. And still he speaks of worldly duties. Sri Ramakrishna smiled a little, looked at M, and made a sign with his eye, as if to say, "What he says is right." M understood that this question of performing duties was an extremely difficult one. Purna arrived. "Master, who told you about our being here?" Purna, Sarada. "Master, to the women devotees, give him some refreshments." Narendra was preparing to sing. The master and the devotees were eager to hear his music. Narendra sang, "Shiva, thy ready thunderbolt, rules over meadows, hills, and sky. O God of gods, O slayer of time, thou the great void, the king of Dharma. Shiva, thou blessed one, redeem me. Take away my grievous sin." At Narayan's request, Narendra sang, "Come, come, mother, doll of my soul, my heart's delight. In my heart's lotus, come and sit, that I may see thy face. Alas, sweet mother, even from birth I have suffered much, but I have borne it all, thou knowest, gazing at thee. Open the lotus of my heart, dear mother, reveal thyself there." Sri Ramakrishna was in samadhi. He was sitting on a pillow, dangling his feet, facing the north and leaning against the wall. The devotees were seated around him. The master gradually regained consciousness of the outer world. It was late in the evening. Lamps were burning in the drawing room. Master, in an ecstatic mood, "There is no one else here, so I am telling you this. He who from the depths of his soul seeks to know God will certainly realize him. He must. He alone who is restless for God and seeks nothing but him will certainly realize him." End of that day. End of today's reading.